and welcome to Nigeria 2015. As our electoral process has begun to accelerate and tensions rise ahead of elections in Nigeria, questions about religious affiliations and calls for candidates to sign pledges supporting religious stances are in the news. Nigeria, with its over 140 million people, share into about 30 ethnic groups, is described as a religiously polarized society. One should bear in mind then the fact that religion in Nigeria follows closely the geographical and ethnic divisions in the country. For instance, the northern part of Nigeria, which is also in the Savannah Belt, is predominantly Islamic, while the southern part of Nigeria is predominantly Christian. Welcome once again to Nigeria 2015. I am Nelta Egbe. Religion is the hardest subject in the world to approach objectively, but by its nature, it dwells and thrives on emotions. Moreover, where emotions hold sway, reason is held captive. Religion is said to be the opium of the people, that's according to Karl Marx, because religion rules the heart. I wish Karl Marx were here, alive today, to see the gradual ascendancy of religion, which to what level the opium level has gone from opium level to lethal pedestal. Maybe one could say that religion is no longer an opium, or cocaine, or even heroin of the people. Trip down memory lane. Chinua Achebe opined, I've had trouble now and again in Nigeria because I have spoken up about the mistreatment of factions in the country because of differences in religion. These are things we should put behind us. There are some parts in this country where the influence of Islam is visible and audible, which calls to prayer from the mosque as veiled school children head home. Other areas are dotted with signs for the Blessed Hair Salon and churches of all shapes and sizes, whilst you see fewer hijabs and more jeans on the streets. The danger comes when religion is mixed with politics. It is worth remembering 800 people died in northern Nigeria during clashes after Mr. Buhari's loss in 2011 elections. Now let's take a trip down memory lane and see how religion has played out in our polity from 1963. From 1963, we had as Prime Minister and President Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who was the president then, and Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, both of them, one a Christian, the other a Muslim. Moving down in 1966, we had General Yakubu Gowon, who was the head of state. At that time, he had, as a finance minister, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, but he was also his number two man. Both of them were Christians. Religion was not an issue at that time. From then on, moving down to 1979, it was Lateef Jakonde and Rafiu Jafolo in Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. Both of them were Muslims. In 1979, at the national level, the then president, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, was a Muslim, and his vice was Dr. Alex Ekweme, Muslim Christian ticket. We're still going down memory lane in 1983. Then, under a military era, we had General Muhammadu Buhari and Babatunde Diagbon. Both of them were Muslims. Again, religion appeared not to be an issue. Moving on to 1983, when the political season started, we had two gentlemen. Both of them were Muslims. Once again, religion was not an issue. In 2011, we had President Goodluck Jonathan, a Christian, and we had his vice, architect Namadi Sambo, a Muslim. But before 2011, 2007, we had Umar Musa Yar'Adua, who was a Muslim, and Goodluck Jonathan, who was a Christian. Also in 2011, we had Muslim Christian tickets between General Muhammad Buhari and Pastor Tunde Bakare. Muslim Christian ticket, Nuhu Ribadu Fola Adiola, also in 2011 in another political party. In 2015, we have almost the same picture. A Christian Muslim ticket on the platform of the PDP, a Christian Muslim ticket on the platform of the APC. General Muhammad Buhari Yami Oshibanjo on the platform of the APC, Christian Muslim. Some will say that we missed out a great deal of something that would have been worth the while in 1993 when we had what some have described as the best and most credible election Nigeria has seen since independence. The setup is not different this year, but one wonders, why do we still have to bother about religion? How did religion come to play such a serious role in the mix of our politics? How did it happen? When did religion become so important in the selection of our leaders, both at the national and at the state level? Should candidates be chosen with considerations given to religion or personalities? These are some of the questions we're hoping that our panelists can give us answers to. We'll also hear from some of our reporters, our correspondents from around the world. In the United Kingdom, Doris Okenwa will be standing by to speak to us via Skype. He'll help us compare what's going on in the United Kingdom, where elections will hold in the month of May, and what's happening in Nigeria. And then our correspondent, Joy Odinye, will speak to us from Anambra. But here in the studio, we're being joined by Laddie Thompson, founder of the Living Waters Unlimited Church. Thank you for coming, sir. Also here is Imam Abdurrahman Ahmed, Chief Missioner of the Ansaruddin Society.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Our online platforms are also there to give you voice. Our web team provides several platforms for you to participate and get your voice heard on the program. First, you can tweet at us using the hashtag Nigeria2015. Please use the Twitter handles at the bottom of your screen, channels at Channels TV and at Neotagbe. There you can tell us what you feel about the elections, hashtag will vote or hashtag will not vote. Now let's look at how, yesterday we gave you a result of how you tweeted in the course of the week, but if you have questions about our discuss today, you can send us a mail to nigeria2015@channelstv.com. Now we'll move up to our panelists and find out what they think about the situation right now. And I'll begin with you, Imam Ahmed. How do you think religion came to play such a major role in our polity?
Thank you very much. Quite unfortunately, I think we've never had it so bad in this country. There is no doubt about the fact that we have always been religious people. Nigerians have always been very, very religious. And Nigerians have been their brother's keeper. If you look at here, the Southwest, for instance, you see the role that religion had played in bringing cohesion, in engineering social integration, in educational development, in developing the community. Look at education, for instance. Religion had always played a very important role, very positive role in education. I will not be surprised if one way or the other, some of the very important pastors in this country have been through Muslim schools. I would also not be surprised if we find some of the very important imams having gone through missionary schools. I want to cite example. The present governor of the central bank attended an Ansaruddin primary school. Nobody asked him to change his religion. Nobody asked him to give up his identity. This is the way we have always been. Jibril Martins, contributed a lot to education, immensely. This is without any form of discrimination. And we have never been seeing one another as, this is a Muslim, he's not a Nigerian, is not worthy to be a member of this community, he cannot hold a public office. This is not the way we have always been. This sorry state of affair came when politicians seized upon the religious sentiment of a people who are depressed, a people who are traumatized, and they started manipulating these religious sentiments, playing up one section against the other. And because we have suffered some of the worst economic disadvantages, suffering in the midst of plenty. Now people now see the other as their enemy. And you know, it is very easy to buy people who are hungry, who are angry, who are hopeless. It is easy to tell them, Thompson is your enemy because he's Thompson. It is easy to tell him that Ahmad is your enemy because he's Ahmad. He can never be your friend. No, nothing good could come from him. I wonder at times, how religious are these politicians? What religion do they practice? Where is the religion in their lives? Those of them who are Muslims, how Muslim are they? Those of them who are Christian, how Christian are they really? They are only Muslims and Christians when they are looking for votes. But when they are sharing the loot, there is no Muslim, there is no Christian, there is no Igbo, there is no Hausa, there is no Yoruba.
Pastor Thompson, can religion be separated from our politics?
First, let me appreciate the contribution he has made and the foundation that he has laid. And let me also be able to salute the memory of Gabriel Martins. And like he mentioned, his contributions in terms of education in Nigeria. But having said that, let us, if we want to really make progress in Nigeria today, we're going to have to do something that Africans are not accustomed to. We're going to have to be a lot more detailed. We're going to have to be a lot more precise in the issues of religion and politics. Now, for a long time, there was a delusion that we could exclude religion from politics. But one thing happened that showed the entire world that we have moved back to a phase now when it is impossible for religion not to be in reckoning in all areas of life. And I'll explain it to you briefly. The documented event globally that is affecting Nigeria today is what we call the resurgence of Islamism. You see, for many, many years, there was peace across the globe, but in the 1929s, three scholars, I think two of them Egyptian, one of them was from India, came up with a doctrine and an interpretation of the Quran that emphasized the use of violence. So all of a sudden, there was about 2-3 generations of scholars who built on that particular interpretation. And the last set of them were two young boys from very, very, very wealthy homes. One was Al-Zakawi, the other one was the famous Osama bin Laden. And what they did was that they engineered a new hybrid, a war form that was like a hydra built on a cell structure. It was designed to feed on religion. It was a special design which was now unleashed on the world. Now, unfortunately, in the case of Nigeria, what happened is this. When the global resurgence came into Nigeria, it met in Nigeria an ancient strain that also believed in slaughter. Now, just as we commend Gabriel Martins, if we also look into the works of people like the late Sheikh Gumi, who was the Grand Qadi of Kaduna, you will find out that he never attended Western education schools. He never hid it. It's just that we don't like, precision in Africa. You will discover that a lot of the groundwork of what we call the Boko Haram today is a mixture of an ancient strain all the way from 1804 that quietly it was there. Actually, if we are going to even speak the truth, the Ansaruddin came under a lot of attack from these people at one time because they felt, why are you building schools? Why are you going to education? Now the documents are there. If you go to study all these things properly, you'll find out that the schism had been created. Even in the military years, it was always there. Now, to pretend that it is new is something that we cannot afford in Nigeria because the whole globe is looking at Nigeria to solve this problem. What 9/11 represented across the whole world was an announcement that the American methodology of separating church and religion was no longer tenable. And when we look around the whole world, the only set of people who have the solution to it, as he has mentioned, is in Africa here, because of the way we approach religion. Now, let me nail this thing properly by telling you where I think we need to really start from. Here we are today as a nation in Nigeria. He's a Muslim, I'm a Christian. We can relate together, we can do many things together, we can all live in peace, and we have been for a very long time. But all along, where did this thing start from? Let me first start from this. Between the years, between 11 and 19 million African slaves were exported across the Indian Ocean, the Sahara Desert, across the Arabian Peninsula, up on the year 19,000, between 11 and 18 million African slaves. The Arabs had their religion then, they had no problem enslaving blacks. About 25 million blacks came from this West African coast that were exported in slave trade. It was supported actively by the churches of those days, the church leadership of those days. Slavery was sanctioned, and it was also sanctioned by the Islamic authorities of the Arabian world. So at the end of the day, it's the African that has been the whipping boy of the world in these areas. So how did we, you see, we are here talking about voting, talking about politics. There was a time in this world